Alright, so I got with me something a little more unique today. This is the MoonDrop Old Fashioned. It's an on-ear, open-back headphone. It costs $25 and I think it's pretty awesome. First, let's go over the build quality. The cable that it comes with sucks. It feels cheap, but whatever, it's usable. It's about 1.2 meters long, so standard IEM size. The important part here is that it's detachable. So not only does it mean you can cable swap, it also means that you can make this headphone wireless if you want to use those Bluetooth IEM adapters. As for the headphone itself, it's basically drivers on a metal band with some pads. The drivers rotate freely here using like a Lego Bionicle ball joint type of thing. The adjustment is a friction slide, so no clicks. It does make me a little concerned for long-term use, but it should be fine. There are indicators for the steps here. I sit on step 3 out of 6. If you have a big head though, you might have some issues. Because it's a basic metal band, you can adjust the sizing if you are willing to bend it a little. Now, because this is an on-ear headphone, the pads do get a little bit warm since it's directly touching your ears. However, it's perfect for the Canadian winter. Sound-wise, this is a lot better than I expect. I usually expect these cheaper MoonDrop stuff to sound, well, cheap, right? But not these. The first thing that I noticed is that there's a forwardness in the upper mids, pushing that vocal region in an anti-hi-fi man kind of way, where instead of that pure 3 kilohertz clarity, you do get that 1.5 kilohertz bump that adds a bit more body. But unfortunately, I find that this sometimes adds a little bit of vocal congestion and straining in that region. And you can sort of see that in the graph that they have on the box over here. The second thing that I noticed is that, wow, the staging and openness on these is actually pretty nice. It is an open back headphone after all, but I was still expecting it to sound more closed in. So do keep in mind though that there is quite a bit of sound leakage with these. And the fact that these headphones are so light, they are 70 grams, make them feel like they're floating on my head, so music kind of feels like they're coming out of nowhere. I'm really liking that effect here. For the bass, yes, there's a very definite roll-off below 80 Hz. You aren't getting a lot of sub-bass on this thing. And then for mid-bass punch, you do get a little bit of it, but I'd say it's more like a light attack instead of a heavy attack in video games terms. Just enough for the bass guitar lines and kick drums to come in, but texture and depth is really not here. Now, note definition is a little bit blurry on these things because I think of the way the treble is shaped. I definitely wouldn't call this a bright headphone, though there are a few peaks that kind of show up with this thing. It's not completely smooth either. I would just say that it's, not completely shimmery or treble focused. It's a mid-rangey headphone. But yeah, resolution and layering are surprisingly decent. These are of course like my first impressions, and I don't really know, but it's just not too much to complain about. I put them on and I enjoy my music, right? So yeah, I would recommend these, and like I said before, for stuff like that, this affordable, don't waste your time spending hours and hours watching reviewers. Your time is worth more than that. Just spend that $25 and experience it for yourself, and then you can go in the comments and tell me whether I'm right or wrong.